Assalamu alaikum, welcome back. Hello everyone, everybody. It is now 13 hours 15 minutes. For the record, it is like I said, 13 hour 15 minute Friday the 26th day of September 2025. So this is basically my attempt to give you a full brief application before we waste more time, because clearly I have a lot to say. So basically this is my video and basically oath testimony, right? A sworn testimony, oath, right? Undertaking that I am speaking my truth, and basically I am asserting my constitutional and unalienable, unmutable, that is, right? Fundamental natural rights and freedom as safeguarded by the Constitution that we have, we as in myself and I, right? I and myself, the body, right? So I is what you're seeing is the I. You're seeing me, you're seeing my image, right? Whereas I have the body. And basically this is what we're talking about. The body is the foundation, the mind, and the Holy Spirit, or free will, if you will, right? So if you have the consciousness. So free will in a secular world, free will in a spiritual world, if you will, and of course you are the soul, the whole, you're the soul, was both. So you are the sole chief executive as well as a trustee of this security that you have. Your body is, your, basically security that you have to, safeguard and protect. Surety, it's a surety. You're given as security to safeguard and protect. Now, so you become the surety of this body, as well as your actions. You are responsible for your actions, and to make a very otherwise long, story, right? Because we have now an application that can be hopefully understood with 5 minutes. I don't need much to advance my argument. I don't need to follow your subject myself to your unlawful lower court orders, so I do not consent. This is the reason why I'm applying for the Supreme Court of Canada for public trial with the jury, because my court matter in both provinces of Ontario and Quebec, right? They're playing ping pong, right? Ontario and Quebec, basically. And I have repeatedly made my election in writing, and yesterday, for the record, before the judge, that I demand a public trial with the jury. And it has to be expedited, because the only reason why I'm saying that is because there's a constitutional challenge of the violation of my basically constitutional rights, which basically safeguards and protect my unalienable natural rights and freedom as a human being. My livelihood. I'm a basically aerospace electronic system design engineering. Right? We, Ahmad and AJ, and so my basically the accused below, right? This is the blog entry from my application for the Supreme Court of Justice. So this is my way of communicating. This is how I prefer to submit application, because otherwise it is difficult for me to do all this work on a gadget such as this mobile phone. You cannot. And this is more preferred way to communicate naturally. I'm technically inclined, and again the link will be posted below for the urgent and basically case hearing before the Supreme Court of Canada. And the ground for that is to safeguard measures to safeguard and protect those unalienable, fundamental, natural rights and freedom to all lives, right? Integral to all lives and well-being, and just sustaining just life. So I cause no harm. So essentially this is why I'm advancing my application, because my case matter involves not only the subject of the accused under unlawful criminal allegation before Quebec and Ontario, and essentially later on resulted in the body, unlawful arrest, detainment, use, undue bodily harm, right? If there's any, of course, emotional and not to mention the financial, extreme hardship and what have you. Now, if the financial part can be fixed, and I said it's $100 million per millisecond, and the epoch goes back to when? The 17th day of November 2023. Right? And yeah, that's kind of where I am, and I, as the sole executive and chief executive, right? Chief executive and power of attorney, so to speak, of my bodily autonomy. I breathe. You do not grant me that right to breathe, natural right. We all breathe. We all have the natural right to go about and pursue life and happiness. Mobility Act, right? So now you have resulted in my, not only you do what you do and act in bad faith, but now you are defaming, tarnishing, and borderline, it's a character assassinate, subject of Ahmed Jr., the accused, claiming the name. So I'm claiming the name since you want me and my person, my subject, my body, my person. Well, guess what? I'm claiming back that name, and now it is a counter claim that you are in violation of my constitutional right, without following the due process of the law. It's just that simple. You are in breach of trust. Therefore, contract is void. It's not rocketry. So if you have, for whatever reason, confiscated, unlawfully seized my passport, which I have documentation, I have posted my passport, my pictures, and that was used in all the disclosure, right? The disclosure I received, that's the identification that was provided, right? And again, I have another disclosure, which my passport on it, so I am claiming the person to be with evidence and the facts, and until proven otherwise, this is facts, undisputed facts. I'm going public because it's public record. You cannot take this off the internet because it's public record. You can try and erase your, fuckery database and your system based on, privileges and permission, only admins or what have you can access certain record and, power to be. But forget it. If you're an average Joe prosecutor, you're not going to be handling this case because it's above your pay grade. The more the liability, because the more fuckery you dig and the mud you dig for yourself, the higher the liability, right? So now you need to put on par. Right? You need to put someone who is able to articulate and because all you have to do is reasonable doubt, plant a reasonable doubt, not in one judge, and you have a panel of jury, public trial with the juries. That is public. People are randomly selected that represents the the rule of the law, the land, and reflect the composition of the society, the fabric that makes these people, inhabitant of the land. This is what Section 92 of the British North American Act 1867, for example. You can assert that, and this is exactly what the province of Alberta is, asserting, called sovereignty clause. They assert Section 92 of the BNA, which is the British North American Act, because that is to essentially safeguard and protect the natural, unalienable natural rights and freedom of the people, the inhabitant of this land, under certain administration law, that is under trust law, because the government has to be, trustee, or basically dictating the laws through a judiciary and system, basically democratic. You have House of Commons, so that's your House of Commons where the laws are coming from, and you have basically the House to go and vote on this bill. Anybody can dream up of a bill. The problem is this: democracy is a two-way street. When you do not speak up against the tyranny, and you can speak up all day, every day on the Parliament Hill, it doesn't matter. You have to go through the court motion, and this is a public record. This is a court motion against the overreach and not only with the federal government of Canada, but I have federal, provincial, all the way to the king. Because remember, I'm in jail because it's the king versus AJ. So now it's King AJ versus King shit. It's that simple. So I mean, it's not like remember King John of England. I mean, go back. Remember where you come from. Go back, Magna Carta. It's the foundation of all commonwealth, so to speak. Western democratic, society that you take pride of. We have one of the most renowned judiciary system in the world because we have civil code, and common law, both French and based and English based, and this is the battle. Now we have the big beautiful bill, which is nothing but a mirror of what? The Agenda 21. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, unpack here. There's a lot to unpack. And this is why, I talk about what I talk about. Because, we cannot just deny me my unalienable natural rights and freedom for what? Basic rights, fundamental. Right? You have thoughts, belief, and expression, and, association. You can extend thoughts, your own thoughts. Right? Your belief, your association, and, you have your own mind of things. So there's a physical world which materializes and manifests in this physical body, so to speak. But you also have a soul. We have a spirit world and what have you. And this is, again, bring the people. Let's stop. There's all facts of all walks of life. You cannot just based on your minute lens of applying the law, right? Turn a blind eye. Turn a blind eye. Oh, I can't see with this one. I'm sorry, look at one. No, I can see perfectly clear. You have to look objectivity. And it's not just those eyes. You have logic and reason. To be objective, you have to look, exercise, because everything crosses, right? X, right? It crosses, but it's a loop. You have to be always, right? You have to be always vigilant and go back, verify, trust him. It's not just blind trust. You're just discriminating against a man coming to tell you that you are in violation of his natural right and freedom as safeguarded by the Constitution, unalienable. Now you're crutching on one side of the fence. On one hand, you want to show goodwill and good faith, and it's like a toss a coin. It all depends on who you see and what time and what day. And it's like the mood of the judge, right? The residing judge of the time, because the same judge, he was challenging under constitutional rights that this unlawful, criminal charges be dropped. So the guy was free to go. I was just listening to the whole proceeding. I was just waiting in the overflow, right? They call it reservoir. For court matters, only for me to stand and trying to speak and then put me aside when I am the one here pushing allegation against constitutional challenges. I have to email the Attorney General. Well, now we have it. You have a video, so now we can listen to the video, because there's a breach of trust on that level. So the accused, which you now are telling me I cannot contact, well, guess what? She is going to be the victim, right? She's the defendant now. She's the defendant because she's in breach of trust. We had amicable divorce agreement before the court, in the Superior Court of Quebec, not for Party C fuckery to come in and then try to modify and first of all breach and violate their jurisdiction, right? It's a breach of jurisdiction. They have no authority, no jurisdiction to come and try and so to speak mend otherwise amicable divorce agreement before the Superior Court of Justice. So now suddenly you break trust, you go your way. Now you are complicit with the unlawful, corrupt government of Quebec, as well as Ontario, as well. That's on the provincial level, as well as all, agencies in the, at arm's length, with all the, names to be, in public inquiry. There's a record. I demand a public inquiry. Every single person is going to be responsible. It's not rocketry. There's a reason why I'm writing the application and then showing this video, because perhaps you're not going to follow everything I'm saying in the video because attention span of 10 seconds. It's very simple. I'm not ranting. We have a lot to talk about. Yeah, no shit. So for you to continue and act in bad faith and deprive me from the ability to just simply go in my car if I wish to go and travel to Alberta and do business, because I have this blue magic box, and again, it's public announcement, public contract. Cost me $10,000 100, right? So for $100 Canadian, right? You get to have a security deposit. It's a security deposit for what? In return for me to go and build this box and put my words where my mouth is. At least I believe I have the ability. I have figured a way to generate electricity, and Alberta comes as a prime candidate province for business, because their grid is, last I checked, is 80% LNG and coal. By 64% and 17% roughly, right? So, and that have to sustain the, high energy demand during harsh winter, which is coming. So winter is coming. You have a choice to, support, off-grid, right? So when I say free, it's off-grid. It's free, independent. It's off-grid. You're free, independent to do whatever you want to do with it. 24 hours, 7 days, 364 days a year. On demand. Energy on demand. So I'm building this prototype of 7.2 kilowatt rated. So I'm saying, we can say it's a $1,000, right, per 1,000 watt, or $1,000 coin, right, to $1,000, so to 1 kilowatt, right? Now that's face value at any country, and that scales. If you're in Canada, it's Canadian; it's USA, it's US, because now 30% of that will go towards shipping. The max you can ask for is 1/3, 33%. That's shipping if you have to ship. So my cost is your cost for $10,000, 100. If you live in Canada, anywhere, coast to coast in Canada, and you are interested in perhaps break away and demand justice, and perhaps unlock and unshackle yourself from the hegemony of the tyranny of the corrupt and paid for Canadian government, courtesy of the public trust and the stooges, the World Economic Forum. Well, you can continue to live this life, but I don't think anybody would reject the idea that perhaps you can generate electricity in a novel way, right? Innovative way that requires no sunlight, so no solar panels, hence no real estate for your rooftops, and the application process that takes months if you have to apply for a loan secured against your property as a collateral security, right? You have to pay. So 0% financing that is in Ottawa here for average solar system that you have to upgrade for hybrid, and then put a storage energy storage solution. So battery, pick your favorite, 14 kilowatt is roughly $15,000, if you want to go to, if you're allowed, first of all, because it's a max. So now you're talking $60,000 on average, right, for a process that have to be sometimes months to a year before you can get all the paperwork and required, permit application to be granted, so you can connect a scope, permission to operate, PTO, to operate this, private, because it's private need, private use, but now you are going to piggyback on the grid, which is public infrastructure. So now you have to abide by the public infrastructure grid, which are basically managed and operated by what we call energy grid operator. So they have the in Alberta they have their own kind of board, and we have in Ontario our own board, and Quebec. So every jurisdiction have its own, because the natural resources management falls under provincial jurisdiction, not the federal government, and this is very clear in the Section 92 of the British North American Act, and also applies to natural person. It's not rocketry. This is why the Charter of Rights and Freedom is considered to be Part 1. It, precedes the second, part, which basically is all things that are important to you if you're not into politics. But you have to understand basic rights and freedom from Part 1, which is basically unaided national rights and freedom. But also you have the democratic and constitutional rights, which the Constitution safeguard and protect, because election and voting should be specific to the people of the land, not some new schmuck coming in and just simply not understanding how the country operates, let alone tell them how to run the country. It does not make sense. But again, if the people of the country has lost their ability to reason, go back to the, basic elements, right, of justice, or critical thinking, element of justice, case law, common law. That's law side check Canada, the supremacy of God. What God? Well, God is one, right? It's truth, faith. Either are in good faith or bad faith. The truth is one. So party A, party B. There's a truth table. When you go through a truth table for A and B, there's a dispute. Both can be in neutral. So neutral. Everybody is their own thing, but it's going to be neutral. H neutral. And then when one is positively charged and the other one is neutral, it will be still neutral, because there's no agreement. Indifference. There's still indifference. When the parties are swapped, again, you get nothing. You get null. You still. It's only when both parties, A and B, come to agreement, that's when you get the agreement. So when we have amicable divorce agreement, what party C has to come and break otherwise amicable divorce agreement? Very simple. And what can be said? Because I'm not sharing a book, I'm not sharing a movie, I'm sharing a life experience that eventually, it's a record, live record. I don't care for you, fuckery record. I'm the live record. Any sane person, any Even a 5-year-old child can understand what I'm saying. If they have the attention span order, if you listen to a story, uncle, but a lot of the kids nowadays, they have the attention span of a jellyfish because they are just so focused. They're so consumed with their own gadgets, right? Well, as an adult, this too can become something that you shouldn't be doing. Like, you see people on X 24 hours almost, running marathons. Now you wonder, how the fuck are they making any money? I'm self-employed. I'm self-employed. I have $0 to my name today. Now, as we speak now, because I have no potential. I walked away from 6 figures. $125,000 salary. It's nothing nothing shabby or to sneeze upon. I have a fucking my tax returns. I have a record. Again, when I say I am the sole executive and authorized trustee of and a power of attorney of the legal estate and the body, basically body autonomy. So I give you the name, like you, right? And I tell you my social insurance number 527515186. That is the trust account under or connected, tied to my name. That's that's all under the name. You have to give the name, date of birth, because that came first. Date of birth, national birth record. You were born. You have to put a name, so the name has to be there. Otherwise, it cannot be registered. You have to register it or something. The name is not unique. The name is so many people that have similar names, but the person, the individual, the human being, the baby is unique. You are unique. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a Quebecois to be unique. Everybody's unique. You don't have a machine that can fabricate personalities, right? You can only have a state, right? Be always funny, be always this. No, but it's you can go through all motion of life, and so long you're a natural person. A dog, try and hit the dog 1, 2, 3, 4 before the dog had a chance to bite your hands off, because try and do that with aggression. Natural law suggests that the dog will bite your hands off. You would not even dare to hit the dog, because if the dog is big, 1, 2, 3, 4, the dog will bite your hands off. The dog is small. There's no reason for the dog to be around you, first of all, unless you crossed paths with the dog, because the dog's small. Now they're gonna approach a bigger size force coming their way. But if you are malicious, and the dog does sense vibration, well, guess what? The dog will be barking and act of self-defense and perhaps alarming the master, because the dog has a master. You don't see stray dogs. That would be what, like jungle. Well, you have a dog and a leash, and the dog is walking in front of you as the dog is your leader and you're the follower. You're following the leader. Good for you. Hallelujah. You don't have a dog, great. Unleash the dog, but then suddenly now you cannot have your dog off leash because this is municipal regulation, right? What the fuck? Well, people used to live in the farms and what have you, and you are city dwellers. So there's a lot that can be said, man. There's a lot can be said. It looks like I have to record again because I go on and on, because perhaps 23 minutes and it's too much for the average simpleton to follow through what I'm saying, and to make a case before the Supreme Court of Canada. Now I have to file an application, follow certain formats. So guess what? This is my format of choice. I'll send the application, as per your recommendation, right? It's very simple, This is my executive order. This is my preferred way of communication in the English language, as well as Al-Arabiya. If somebody wants to talk to me in Al-Arabiya, ahla wa sahla. Otherwise, it's English. You want to talk Spanish, I can also habla español también. But we'll speak English. Everybody understands English, and alhamdulillah, I speak al-lugha al-Arabiya, right? I have this phonic. I speak. I have a tongue. So we go through 5-star, right? 5 stars. So we're bring the 4 subject matter expert, and I'm the 5th guy, because now we have to get a consensus based on what I'm saying versus what other people would otherwise say as, and then they are considered to be capacitated enough to be subject matter experts. So we can argue. 5. Now that is in any aspect. If you want to argue with me, whether it's spiritual or what have you, and then we go to the that's the common law, whatever book, whatever your mastery is at, right? Be it aerospace, whatever you want. We'll go back to basic. If you can explain something to everybody, and we are in agreement, well, 80% agreement is great. So pick your favorite subject. Now we go to the administrative side of things, because again, we have to document everything. So now we go to the 6-star system. So and trust. So now first the common law. So the common law first have to establish. So you pick your first 5-star system so far, and the 5th one is myself and subject of AJ. And we can ask questionnaire and determine if AJ is incapacitated or actually not incapacitated as per the allegation. Because now when I speak my mind, I have to be, unlawfully transported to a psychic ward. No bracelet, no consent, for almost 4 weeks, from the 18th of December all the way to the 14th of January. How the fuck suddenly you now managed, after you have fabricated all this evidence, and then suspend my driver license for yet again unlawful reasons, because I never consented to anything in the first place. There was no reason for you to unlawfully transport me. I did not consent, because a day previous to my release, on the 12th day of the December 2024, right, on my release by Justice with the Peace, suddenly the day before that they were trying to pull this trick out of a rabbit hat that I was wanting to put for trial. Why? Because I'm demanding justice. And that's a classic script they do. And I have my 2 witnesses and my 2 victims, my 2 brothers in Alberta. And when I was in Alberta, I got to meet them. So yes, I'm advancing as well their case to be reviewed, and yes, before Supreme Court of Canada. They're a victim and I'm a witness. Just like they have interacted with me and they understand my story and understand their story from a legal point of view, because it's the same script tactics they use. Right? So now there's a breach of trust between my ex-wife and I, essentially. She is a defendant, and the bullshit contract, I call it the bullshit contract that they coerced me into signing in Hull, right, as a release order for summary conviction charges, criminal harassment, for me to go and act in good faith and trying to talk to my ex-wife, because last I checked we had a divorce agreement. I want to make sure that she did not initiate this restraining order against me, because we had the trust that we would bear in mind our child well-being first and foremost. We cannot be trashing each other's. Not for you to go and breach trust and break otherwise applicable divorce agreement by no other than the unsolicited, right, illicit legal counsel, and that gave you the ill advice to basically go about and breach common law. You're a Christian. Last I checked, we had to get bishop approval to get married in the Church of Martyr Christians, right here in Ottawa. Remember that day, 31st of August, right, 2012. We had been in committed relationship for almost 4 years prior, so 2008, January 25th. So the 25th day of January 2008, we first crossed paths. We crossed paths and crossed eyes. So, I'm not here to spill the beans, but now it's your choice. You are now, unfortunately, the defendant in a lawsuit before the Supreme Court of Canada, and on allegation of ignorance of the law under the Criminal Code, RSC 1985 CC 46, Section 19, ignorance of the law. And again, I will be essentially treating you like I treated my sister, because I do cherish the time that we have, and not because you already burned that bridge, because clearly when I showed up in good faith, you ran inside, calling the cops on your ex-husband of 10 years, right? We've been married since 2012, and the divorce came in 2023, right? So we've been married for over 10 years, and previous to that, very committed, beautiful, loving, respectful, respecting, it's a beautiful relationship that people would think we were faking it, right? But that's fine. That's who AJ is. I adore the queen of my life, but she also have to consider me the king of her life. So, king and queen. You don't want to be my queen, great. You could be someone else's. Hopefully, they can treat you with 10% of what I treated you. But that's again subjective, each one to their own. Each one to their own, and there's a reason why we're not together. Irreconcilable difference. Okay, I respect that. I respect your belief system. I respect where you're coming from. I respect your ambition. Well, you have to respect mine as well. If we cannot come to common ground, that's fine. So I will treat you basically just out of good faith, not because you breached trust, but I'll treat you the same way I treat my sister. Nothing more than the fact that you remain the true, natural, biological mother of my child, daughter, Haneen Esmeralda. And my daughter has yet to see her father. It's been over a year, and regardless of what allegation you are bringing before the court unlawfully against your ex-husband, the fact is you had an amicable divorce agreement that does not involve the need to go about and deprive your own child daughter from her natural family bond. I mean, her father is her father, but what about the rest of the family? Plus, you're depriving your child from the ability to be with her father without your, basically unilaterally, without your conscious, like, what kind of mother? So, again, you'll be allowed, if, for example, we go to the court case, and as I mentioned, you have a defendant now, you choose to bring your best legal counselor. I suggest you retain a good lawyer, but I don't think you need one. You can come and speak for yourself. That would be interesting, and that would bring us to common grounds, common laws, and in a Christian faith, last I checked, you do not seek divorce until death, so to speak, parts you away, right? Parts us apart. So I'm not dead, alhamdulillah. I'm alive and in a full capacity, mentally, full capacity physically, and well, just because I lost weight does not mean I am unable to go back to the gym and pursue my life. And again, I've been made fugitive for your ignorance of the law. So you are being charged and you are being accused of criminal charges. Section 19, ignorance of the law, RSC 1985. And if you look further, there's something about authority and protection of person of authority. And well, I am the person of authority. I'm the head of the house. So long I understood, I consented and I agreed to your terms because there was good faith. We were both in the common understanding that it's not best to go through lawyers and legal fees and turn an amicable, beautiful relationship into bad experience. No, well, we both went to the avocate, so to speak, right? Your avocado guy, right? The lawyer of mediator, right? Between two parties, A, B, trying to basically come to a common ground, a mutual agreement in a civil manner that is best for their interest as a collective, as a family, right? I mean, we have that family trust. Whereas now you are, with your ignorance, breaching every single aspect of that, and for your convenience, so to speak, and peace of mind, so to speak, right? Because I'm not forcing you to be with me. You go be by whoever you want to be with, but there are rules and order. There are rules and orders, and again, there are hierarchies. So you fail in all aspects. So I will offer you, I'll offer you really a very nice way to basically continue to see your daughter only if you agree to my rules and conditions. Otherwise, feel free to be, defending for yourself, and we'll see justice. You choose. I'm not going to simply. Again, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. The only fact that is you remain the child, you remain the mother of my sole child, right? Our child. You still remain the biological natural mother. So I respect that. So I'll give you slack. But again, if after the facts and you still insist on your ignorance of the law, so guess what? So right now you are pleading. Both you and my sister, I am pleading. I'll treat you the same way. But you are accused, so this is why I have to bring my case against you. That's the only way I can get my case heard, because you otherwise will not speak with me because you have been instructed unlawfully to avoid direct contact with me. Why? What did I do? I caused no harm. I did nothing wrong to you. If anything, I came to alert you of the situation that our daughter is basically going to be subject to unlawful three positions, right? What kind of three positions? You had no clue. I received the 3 emails, so again, I have evidence. So your ignorance does not give you permission to commit such an offense. Understand, I have been more than reasonable, so don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I, AJ, right? I'm speaking.